Okay, good evening, everybody. The appointed time has come, and I will call this meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order for Wednesday, November 7th. First item of business is approval of the minutes from our 10/17 meeting. Do I have a motion to approve? From anybody? Okay, now I have Mr. Gisselman and a second from Mr. Martins. Thank you. All right. I do have just a very minor clarification I would make on page 2. In the center, where we're talking about the Wausau Center Mall, the second paragraph mentions that Ms. Ryan had talked about a study that she had seen from Lieutenant Donna at Salvation Army. And it goes on to say that I had explained that this report has been seen. And actually what I was referring to in the meeting was another report which had similar findings, but not the particular one maybe that Ms. Ryan was talking about. So it's just a minor thing there. I do not recall ever seeing a separate study that might have come from the Salvation Army, or I just don't know if that's a different study, so I just want to clarify that.
Okay. Maybe then we should have the minutes amended to indicate that you had communicated the similar study had been viewed.
Right.
Just for clarity.
Mm-hmm. The city-sponsored study.
Right.
Right. All right, thank you.
Let's two down, go to 3.
Well, I have to get the approval first. Any further discussion on minutes? All in favor of approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None are opposed. Okay. You're saying you want to go right to number 3?
Yeah, I'll do 2 in a minute. I'm still
Okay.
fighting.
All right, we're going to jump to number 3 on the agenda, as number 2 needs to get booted up or something. Discussion and possible action on the proposal received for the River Life area south of Fulton Street. Do we have anything to discuss in open session on this item, Mr. Schock?
I just wanted to, I guess, provide an update to everyone, answer any questions. Staff has continued to meet with the proposer, Dave Johnson, and his team, and those discussions have been productive. We continue to flesh out kind of a final plan that would be able to detail, some of the site plan work, some of the areas that were of concern, and a strategy, that they would use for, managing risk related to the condo project, which is what he's discussed before. So I think there has been very positive progress on that. We want to be, just make sure everyone continues to be aware of that. And, they will be presenting kind of a final, site plan, which would be, kind of ready for at least ED approval. And then, of course, keep in mind, I think, as Lisa had pointed out before, that, then the more formal, site plan would be reviewed by the Planning Commission, as a UDD zoning change as well. So they're working on that, and we hope to have that in the coming weeks here.
Okay, thank you. In our packet was illustration rendering of an overview of the proposed development. And it wasn't really itemized like with a legend saying, what I'm looking at particularly. There's a black broken line around perimeter. I don't know if that is the entire property we're talking about. Still don't know if it's going to be leased or bought.
Yeah, they're finalizing their final proposal.
Okay.
And it will be much more specific than what they presented previously.
Okay. Secondly, then there's a I'll just get this one
Go ahead.
question out.
Yeah, fine.
There's a broken white line further in around, a portion of the property. I'm assuming that might indicate a fence. It doesn't say. But what concerned me, and I hope it can be discussed with the developer, proposed developer, is that Fulton Street, the extension of Fulton Street off of First Street, just is essentially their driveway. I mean, it goes right through the broken white line as if it was a gate, perhaps, or something like that. And it was my understanding that the expansion of Fulton Street was a public amenity providing access to the riverfront area per se.
Yeah, so to clarify, it's not Fulton Street. Fulton would come down to the end at the, Fulton just extends down to the end of the river. It runs perpendicular with the river. There would then be a drive or another street, that runs parallel to the river, which would partially be a road and partially be their driveway. And again, that was discussed as, the dialogue about where the gates would be placed for the parking access and where the fences will be placed. And, again, I think we're working to finalize a site plan that's more actionable.
Okay.
We acknowledge that the draft is a start, but was not specific enough. We've given the feedback, to the developer. We've met with them, with both their contractor and their real estate folks as well. So, there's good dialogue being discussed, and obviously we'll want you to feel very comfortable with the final proposal when it comes.
Ms. Rasmussen?
Thank you. I had the opportunity to sit in on the last staff meeting between Mr. Johnson's team and our staff one afternoon, and it was a productive discussion. And I know in this committee, we had some, I guess we were a little bit perplexed by the fence and, why they need a fence and where it would be. And I think that we were able to come to some understanding about that, and it really kind of came back to the fact that their building or their development will offer some private amenities like outdoor seating and fire pits and things for their residents that aren't for public access. And so that's something we weren't aware of before. And so, when we were viewing fencing in terms of just plain aesthetics and the fact that we discouraged fencing on the water side for other developments, this one may be a little bit distinctive. And what came out of that meeting was some discussion about the fact that there does need to be some separation between amenities that are only available to the condo residents versus what's available to the general public, because we offer some similar things on the River Edge Trail. And so there was some clarity there, and we had some great discussion with them about which steps go in which order, because there was some confusion about that, and they were really receptive to following that process and recognizing that we liked the project in concept already. We just needed more detail. But I think that was an important point about the fence, because last time we met with them, the idea of the fence and the necessity for it seemed to kind of get contentious, and it was because we didn't know about the amenities and they didn't realize that we cared about the amenities. So that explained a lot to us as we were meeting with them.
All right, anything else on the matter? Yes,
Yeah.
Mr. Peck.
Looking at this, we've seen kind of concepts of what this area would look like in the past, and the earlier versions had a building, of about this size, fairly close to the River Edge walkway, and then space to the east of it, the base of that drop-off, or whatever you want to call it, that would allow for additional townhomes or condos, duplexes, whatever. This proposal looks like it would preclude that. And I'm wondering,
Again, it's not specific enough. We're working on it. We'll bring a final proposal.
okay, but
Yeah.
if they bring something specific, then they're that much further down the road.
Yeah, well, they need to get that much further. And again, I don't think previous plans are not on the table right now. So, they're presenting a new vision for the reuse of the area. Yep.
Thank you. Anything else? Mr. Gisselman?
Just looking at the map, it seems like the in and the out, are those going to be, it's just the initial questions with regard to, are those going to be public?
Yeah, don't
Well,
look
but-
at those in and outs. They're not final.
Well-
Tom had pointed out, it looks like Fulton Street just kind of goes into their driveway. It won't be like that. again, we've had dialogue. I'm just noting that dialogue continues, and we want to be sure that they present a plan which is specific enough to answer your questions, right? And so they know those questions, and they will answer them.
Well, I just don't want us to go far enough along that that they have certain assumptions about the plan that are agreed upon, but that yet some of us may have questions about, because the original plan with regard to that Fulton Street looked completely different than what this does.
That's correct. So I again, just want to note they understand that. And we are working on a plan that is more specific about what they're really going to do.
They did seem to leave that last interaction pretty clear on the fact that public infrastructure is public infrastructure, and that they're not getting, that public infrastructure to use as a driveway. I mean, obviously, you have to get people to the site, but, once you get off of the public right-of-way and onto their property, they were pretty clear on the
They'll
fact that
build the driveway, yeah.
it's for them to build and maintain. They were pretty good about that.
Yeah, and that vision, again, doesn't really show that the road will obviously turn to the north. Fulton will come down and end into a road that runs parallel with the river, because it will also be the access road for the Phase 1 apartments, which are just to the north. So, it will look different. I think, again, we've had lots of discussions with them, and they're working on that. It's an iterative process for them. So.
Okay, anything else? All right, moving on then. No action to take on that other than just, I'm sure all of our concerns will be relayed to them. Don't hit me on the head with that thing.
Don't worry. I think it's okay.
So we'll jump back to item number 2. It seems that Mr. Schock has
Maybe.
got his show ready to go.
Sorry. I don't know if I do or not. My shows are... How do we shut those lights off? Okay. Do you want to shut them off just quick?
Single.
It's good. I don't know if that's... I don't think my show's on yet.
Well, you can set it up,
Is it
verbally.
going on? There, it's on. Okay, great. I just wanted to share, this is number 2. Did you need to read it?
Right, this is, okay, presentation of Wisconsin Economic Development Association. WEDA finalist video for Live It Up.
So we just wanted to share the video that was produced by the Wisconsin Economic Development Association for our, kind of recognition of Live It Up as a finalist for, one of 3 finalists for the Community Economic Development Award for 2018 from the Economic Development Association. And I'm sure speakers, how will we do speakers? How does it feed through? Does it feed through the speakers? Okay. We'll try it out. Let's see. No, I don't think it's going. No? Well, that's on. Do you have to do something on that? Sorry. Just want to make sure. How do you know what those are? I don't know. Does it like one of these? Do you think? But we've run stuff through it before. Is it one of these just did it before? Well, the show must go on, even without it, so we'll continue fiddling, see if we come up with something. Let's try. What are those? I'm pretty sure we...
We'd benefit from some plug-and-play capability.
Yeah, I thought it was. We did try this out. Let's try that. That's the mic. I don't know.
Live it up.
Okay, well, it's certainly powerful. All right. Sorry about that. A little bit. Ready?
Now in its third year, was developed as a partnership between the City of Wausau, the Wausau Region Chamber of Commerce, the Wisconsin Housing and Economic Development Authority, the Community Foundation of North Central Wisconsin, and local businesses to provide home purchase down payment assistance to local employees. This program helps increase home affordability, supports employer housing needs, and enhances workforce recruitment for economic development. Live It Up has provided more than $467,000 worth of down payment loans, leveraging home sales over $4.5 million over the past 2 years to 33 employees. Perhaps what is most successful about the program is the partnership with more than 40 local businesses, both large and small, that have made donations to support the program.
Okay, that's it. It's short. I think it should be longer for all the trouble that it caused, but. And we're up.
When do they make their determination for the?
Oh, no, we were just finalists. Yeah, we didn't win.
We didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it's an
Well,
honor just
it's
to
an
be
honor just to be
nominated,
there,
as
that's
they
right.
say in show business. So, we are up to 42 loans? Yeah, 42 loans as of today closed on the Live It Up program. So, and one coming soon, right?
Many.
Yeah, we have a continued pipeline of new loan closings on the way, so.
Okay, we'll move on. Item number 4, discussion and possible action on River Life Villages Phase 1 and the proposals received for the River Life area. What do we have for open session, Mr. Schock?
Sure. I guess, I do see both of the proposers are here. There were any questions directly for the proposers? Otherwise, I think it's been well discussed. We could probably, move to closed session to, share any relevant information and then come out with any decisions of the committee or other guidance.
I would invite any of the proposed developers, if you'd like to come up and have a little preamble to our closed discussion. Feel free to come on up and say something, but no pressure there either. Just give us your name and address, please.
Fritz Riveron, Fernando Riveron, 1010 Franklin.
Mitch Vigut, 517 Franklin.
And we just want to reiterate our passionate commitment to this project and have you understand how, as part of this community, this is something that's really important to us. The three of us, myself, Mr. Vigut, and Mr. Odie, have the capacity to do this, the interest to do this, and the passion to do this. But aside from that, as we have proposed to do this project, we've had an outpouring of community support, and I mean, if I can give this to the council, as this is a letter that was signed by a number of prominent people from the community, including Mr. Wyrock from Wyrock Properties, the City Grill and downtown and Jefferson Street, Dudley Investments, the Dudley Foundation, the Eye Clinic of Wisconsin, Piper Products, and Mr. Gumnus from the Greenheck Foundation in support of our proposal. Just not to embellish this too much, but the Dudley Tower looks down on this project. The Eye Clinic, which also supports the members support this, looks right at this product. It's very important to them that this be done. And we are very interested in doing this. In fact, want to get going because I think as winter comes, some work needs to be done on that foundation. So with all respect for your difficult decision, thank you. Can I give
Sure.
introduce this, or?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. Anybody else? Okay, so come on up and state your name, please, for the record.
Yeah, my name is Ted Madicum. I'm the Wisconsin Market President for Gorman and Company. We've done several deals in this town before, Canterbury Plaza, Riverview Towers also. And we have done some due diligence on the project. We hired actually a structural engineer to make an opinion of this current status of the project. I actually forwarded that to Chris today. And we've had extensive conversations with the current general contractor in terms of potentially partnering up with them to finish the project. Our concern was if you took over this project and you didn't have the Samuels Group be the ongoing general contractor, what do you do with warranties and liability of work that's there? Which I didn't really, I'm an attorney and I've been doing development for 25 years and I'm not exactly sure how you'd get over that other than somebody compensating you for that risk. So we've had some extensive conversations with them on how to kind of right-size this project to make it right, given the tools that they have. You know, we like the project, I said earlier, and I won't go back on it. If you guys choose to go local with your team, I completely get it. We're out of Madison. We're very familiar with the Wausau market, but we would love the opportunity to pick this up and go forward if you think it's appropriate.
Very good, appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we will just move on here. Any further discussion or from the committee at all? Okay. Number 5, discussion and possible action on the proposal received for city-owned property on Bugby Avenue.
Sure. So we've received a proposal. You know, our timeline was tight, so we're passing it out now, just so everyone can take a peek. Yep, okay. And I'll just walk through this. As you know, this window has been open, you know, until last Friday. We've received, you know, one proposal for the area. It's from Central Wisconsin Real Estate, and you know, I think they have described what they're doing. It's very similar to what they've proposed at Sherman Street as well. You can see the kind of partitioning that they propose on Phase 2, or second page on page 2. And you can see Phase 1 is at the lower left-hand side. You see Phase 1. They would propose to put 6 home sites there, and then in future phases 2, 3, 4, and 5, they would you know, potentially build a road and kind of further subdivide the property for future home sites. So the first step was to develop 6 single-family homes with a market value, as you see, and you know, obviously those details would be kind of better fleshed out if you know, if you decide to move it on.
Question on the
Yes.
plan. Phase 2 and Phase 3 then, or potentially Phase 3, also slated to be single-family dwellings?
Yep.
Not multifamily, not,
It's all single family, yeah.
okay.
That's their vision. They would just add a new public street to really create Phase 4 and 5, you know?
Okay.
Because you could do Phase 1, 2, and 3 with just frontage on Bugby.
On Bugby. I think that does, single-family homes at the price point they indicated also dovetails with the neighborhood's vision for that area. I think those things would coexist well. I think if we had gone into the commercial realm or into the multifamily or affordable housing realm, we'd had a ton of pushback. So I'm glad to see this proposal as one of those I think that we should explore this a little further with the proposer, because it looks like it would be a winner for that neighborhood.
Yep. Obviously, you just received it, so we don't need to
Right.
necessarily take
I think it's worth
any
dialogue,
action,
though,
but
if we
we'll-
want to
yep.
go along a little further. It's in my district, and I've had some discussion with residents in the area, and if it's single-family at a, decent price point, they're up for it.
Is there a need for us to discuss this in closed session at all, or is
We-
there further?
We can if you like.
Further work to be done?
But we might want to, just because we could discuss purchase price or any details that you'd want to give staff guidance
As far
on.
as the transfer price of the land? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay. All right, then. Anything else on this? All right. Moving on, number 6, discussion and possible action on the proposal received for the Sherman Street remnant parcels.
So, as you recall, we received a proposal for Sherman Street, also from Central Wisconsin Real Estate. They have been finalizing their plans. They have been approved by the Planning Commission, yesterday. Yep, yesterday. And so that's kind of moving forward. And I think, would be probably actionable on our part to kind of officially, we kind of gave a positive blessing, but as I review the record, we never really took a motion and a second to actually, authorize the sale of the remnant parcels, and, we discussed a certain amount, but I guess if anyone wanted to make a motion for a certain amount, then we could, kind of solidify that and move it forward.
Okay, well, I would suggest we deal with that in closed session
We
as
can,
well.
yep.
Okay. Very good. Well, then we'll go to number 7. I would entertain a motion to go to closed session at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yep, I'll read the agenda for you. I'll move that we go into closed session pursuant to Chapter 19.85, Paragraph 1, Sub E of the Wisconsin statutes for deliberating or negotiating the purchase of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, for the purpose of discussion and possible action on River Life Villages Phase 1 and the proposals received for the River Life area, discussion and possible action on the proposals received for city-owned property at Bugby Avenue, and discussion and possible action on the proposal received for the Sherman Street remnant parcels.
Very good. Do I have a second? There's my second. A roll call vote. Rasmussen.
Aye.
Peckham. Martins. Gisselman. And I say aye. We will go to closed. Okay, it seems all are seated. I declare the meeting back into open session. At this time, do we have a motion coming out of closed?
We do. I'll make a motion that we accept the proposal offered by Gorman and Company for the River Life Villages project and direct staff to complete the necessary documents to effectuate that project award.
Thank you. Do I have a second? I have a second from Mr. Peckham. Do we have any discussion on the issue? Well, at this time, I will interject my feelings that we had 2 very good proposals, very welcome proposals, and 2 very able proposers. I tend to lean towards the buy local myself, and I'm going to vote that way. And I'm anxious to see how everybody else is going to vote. So, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That would be me. Thank you. Do we have other motions coming out? Or are these just directions to staff?
I would move on the
Yes.
sale of the remnant parcels on Sherman Street that are in our packet, that we offer that to Central Wisconsin Real Estate, the collection of parcels for a total of $3,000.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. Martins. Further discussion?
Just a point of information, I voted against this proposal, the larger proposal in Plan Commission, and I will be consistent voting against it this evening. I feel that the structures really don't fit within, I have a sense that they're being really crammed into these lots, and I don't think it fits really within the neighborhood, so I voted against it. Plan, I will continue to vote against it this evening.
Anything else? Okay, all in favor of the resolution, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I,
Nay. I'm on record opposed as well, so, for the same expressed reasons. Okay, does that take us through our work in closed? I believe it does. Moving on to number 9, update and discussion on the strategic statement related to the Wausau Center Mall. Mr. Shaw.
Just again, to provide an update, as you know, the mayor had provided a strategic statement at the last meeting, and we've shared that with the mall leadership, obviously. And there have been kind of continued dialogue with the mall owners about, their path forward. They're also aware, as you know, from our dialogue at the Finance Committee about, the default required for rent and I think they are considering, kind of their path forward at this time. So we continue to work with them. The statement, obviously encouraged them to either set a path forward or sell the property. We continue to encourage them to do that. We'll continue to update the committee, regularly on, the issue.
Just a question on that. The Finance Committee had directed that the default notice be sent. Has it been sent?
Yes,
Okay.
it has.
All right, thanks.
Could I just ask, what's going to happen with this? Are we just making a statement, or is this going to be sent to somebody, or?
Yeah,
did
that's why I
miss
said we sent it to the mall owner.
Okay, I guess I wasn't keeping up.
Sorry, I was just giving you the update that we did in fact send it to them, and we've had dialogue with them about the elements of the statement, Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Number 10, discussion and possible action on the economic development strategic statement.
So obviously in the packet, again, maybe we didn't. The strategic statement that we had last time, and we just wanted to keep that fresh in your memory. If you had comments or questions on that, I don't think it's in the packet, is it? Yeah, well, it was in the previous packet, but we'll just include it again at our next meeting. It's obviously not something that's needed to be actionable tonight, but we did want to update the statement. Yeah, that's just the mall statement. You're right. So, but we'll include it in the next packet as well. You recall, this is the kind of strategy statement for economic development for the city. So we want to update that routinely and kind of talk about some of the strategic things that you'd like the city to kind of continue to undertake, or maybe a new tack, which is, of course, open to your guidance on, if there's something that you'd like us to focus on differently, or kind of set that in motion. When we adopted this strategy a couple of years ago, there have been very tangible things, from the strategy. Housing was a big element of the strategy, and we worked then, to diversify housing types and work directly on that. I think last meeting we went through all the different things in the agreement or in the strategic statement that we'd worked on. So give it continued thought, and maybe at the next meeting we'll have, make sure to include it in the packet again and ask you for your comments or amendments or whatever. And if you have thoughts, you can also email them in advance so that we can incorporate it into the, into a draft or whatever.
You will recall that at our last meeting, there was some suggestions made with regards to segments of the population that have special needs, and also our strategy towards youth.
Youth, yeah.
And things like that. So I imagine those that have been worked in or are being worked
Yeah,
in, and
they are,
we'll see
yeah.
that. Okay.
That sounds good. Yeah, they were, I think it was in the minutes, because we discussed it, so
Okay.
we'll be sure to incorporate those. And then, but if you have other thoughts, we just wanted to be sure that it was open for dialogue and, part of our agenda as we, try to update it, at least vaguely annually, so that people know what's going on, so.
Okay, very good. Anything else on the statement? No? Well, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn. From Mr. Peckham, a second from Mr. Gisselman. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Thank you.
When is our next meeting?
No, well, the next meeting is not, we don't necessarily plan a meeting until December. December 4th would be the next meeting of ED.